operate the racket. The large-scale racket had been operated using machinery that included 2 excavator machines. Area residents claim that the racket had been taking place since January. Kantale is among the areas that have been badly destroyed due to sand mining rackets. Large-scale sand mining is taking place along the sandy stretch of the Mahavali River from the Suryapura to Nilapura in Kantale. Against this backdrop, several scams have taken place while selling sand to buyers. Our special correspondent took steps to investigate the routes of the racket. A big tipper truck is capable of transporting 3 cubes of sand. Tipper trucks that leave the Kantale area with sand stop at several areas between Dambulla and Kajugama. They remove certain amounts of sand from their trucks while making stops in these areas. Ultimately, the buyer receives less than 3 cubes of sand that were transported from Kantale. A considerable amount of profit is reaped through this activity.
There is a sand mafia happening from Galevela to Kajugama, where they mine the top layer of sand from the sand load and charge money in an unfair manner. This is a huge mafia. People might not be aware of it.
Shouldn't measures be taken to address these activities that ultimately affect both the environment and the consumer? Amateur footage shot on a mobile phone last Friday in Mahaoya is a testimony to the sand racket that is taking place. Container trucks have been used to transport sand in this racket that is in operation. This method is now being used to transport sand without much attention. People do not dislike development. However, future generations will not be left with the country if environmental destruction continues to take place. Therefore, isn't it important to pay attention to this matter?
The value of land rises along with the development of a country and the increase of its population. Circulars issued on 2 separate occasions have prevented other forest land from being given to various entities in an ad hoc manner. According to these circulars, a committee must conduct a review before giving these lands for any activity. Several other forest land had been protected in the past as a result of this. However, a proposal had been submitted to the cabinet last week seeking to revise the circulars. The revision of these circulars would see land falling under the purview of the district and divisional secretaries be given for several purposes. The Hammantoda proposed managed
are on the other side. They observed that many unfair activities are taking place. The ministers pointed out that it is not practical to divide lands using GPS technology. The cabinet then decided that other forest lands, forest department lands and wildlife department lands must be identified, and that areas except for recognized forests that include barren land and those which lack vegetation must be brought under the Land Commissioner General and be given to agriculture with the approval of divisional secretaries. We know that before the 2001 circular, farmers cultivated crops in less dense forests near their homes. They didn't damage lands that fell under the Forest Department, Wildlife Department or animal habitats. The cabinet has advised me to prepare a good plan on a scientific basis to avoid using these lands for unnecessary purposes. It is not me but the officials who will formulate a plan. Once it's done, I am ready to put it before the cabinet. They have appointed ministers with low knowledge like S.M. Chandrasena to these ministries. They claim that the Circular 5/2001 is an obstruction to Chena cultivation. If that is the case, how are they going to hand over these lands to multinational companies and various Chinese companies? Plans have been made to hand over 62,500 acres of land in Monragala to a Singaporean company named Gazelle Ventures. A major portion of this land comprises the lands that have been granted for Chena cultivation on a permit basis. Companies have acquired these lands using several techniques after taking them from the people. They have been given to cricketers as well. Environment Minister S.M. Chandrasena has become a minister who does not protect the environment but instead destroys it. They removed the permit system for the transportation of sand. This is related to the MCC agreement. Thousands of acres of land will be sold to multinational companies under the MCC compact. That is the underlying plan. They are implementing these measures to sell these lands to multinational companies by destroying the environment. If they feel for the Chena farmers, the government can do much more than this.
Meanwhile, a candidate for this year's parliamentary election who is opposing moves to revise the Circular 5/2001 arrived at the Environment Ministry with some animals. However, he was not allowed to enter the ministry with the animals.
මේ අවශේෂ වනාන්තර එලි කරලා
They are going to destroy the environment by clearing other forest lands and cutting off trees to hand over them to multinational companies in a discreet manner. I came to discuss this matter with the secretary over the destruction. Ultimately, these actions would leave animals without a habitat. He said that he would send me some details regarding it. However, if they abolish the circular and carry out these activities, I will bring all the animals in the country and drop them off here. I am challenging them to carry out their plan if possible. I will round up this place. The animals too must have a place to live like humans.
මිනිසුන්ට වාගෙම
Former Minister Patali Champika Ranawaka today claimed that moves are afoot to give away land in Colombo for external projects without following due process.
ඒ ගැසට් නිවේදනය ඉවත් කළා නැවත මේ ඉඩම් දිසාලේකම්වරු
They are trying to bring these lands under the district and divisional secretaries by revoking the gazette to be issued on a permit system. Valuable forest lands and reserves could be subject to destruction. That is a heinous crime committed on the future generations. The Rajapaksa administration has made plans to give away a large number of lands in Colombo that we release for development activities to foreign entities in an underhand manner.
සැලසුම් කළා ඉවරයි කියලා මම කියනවා.
මේ කරන චෝදනාව ඔප්පු කරන්න ඔබතුමාට සාධක
බොහොම
තිබෙනවද?
පැහැදිලි පළවෙනිම එක තමයි කිසිම ටෙන්ඩර් කැඳවීමකින් තොරව ශැංග්‍රීලා පිටිපස්සේ ඉඩම පැලයට පත්වෙච්ච අපා.
The first thing they did after coming into power is to give away the land behind Shangri-La without a tender process. Under my ministry, the Manning market was taken to Paliaguda. Under my development plan, we plan to construct Colombo's multimodal transport centre at the previous Manning market premises as it would become vacant. The planning was carried out by a main office in the French government. We have now been informed that the entire land and several other contracts are to be awarded to foreign companies without calling for tenders. I revealed that contracts for 5 road projects had been handed over to a foreign company without a tender process. Following my revelation, they have decided to hand over the contract for the Ratnapura road to a local contractor. According to the information I have, a land in Meetotamulla that was planned to be converted into a park has been neglected. Steps are being taken to give this to the foreigners in the same way. We will rally the people against this. The light rail transit project from Kaduelo to Peta that we plan to implement with the assistance of the Japanese government is yet another example. They are trying to transform this into a private-public partnership program. There are 2 methods concerning the project. One is that we will repay Japan from the profits that are earned through this after 15 years. However, if private investment is received, we will have to pay the dividends once annually or give them land. It is Mahinda Rajapaksa's responsibility to say whether the land would be given or not. The 2 leaders are not commenting on the project. They are using secretaries to provide answers. If they are patriotically willing to cancel the MCC agreement, they have to submit a cabinet paper. Vimal Veeravansa can do that. I wish to clearly state that this government will sign the MCC agreement after the 5th of August.
මම පැහැදිලිව කියනවා MCC ගිවිසුමත් මේ ආණ්ඩුව අගෝස්තු 5 වෙනිදාන් පස්සේ අත්සන් කරනවා.
කිසිම විදියකින් සැලසුම් කරලා තියෙන
We will not do anything that affects our planned projects. The multimodal transport hub had been planned a long time back. At that time, we decided to move the Manning market to Paliaguda and then construct the hub on the land that would be left vacant and also on land falling under the railway department. We are in the process of implementing our plan. We have received financial assistance from the French government for this. Therefore, that project won't be altered. Besides, we have undertaken preliminary measures to identify spaces that would attract investors and provide these lands after calling for proposals. We have prepared a cabinet paper seeking approval to call for proposals from investors. If an investor comes forward, they do not prefer to participate in a tender process. They do not want to take part in the tender process in any part of the world. That is why in the past investors did not come to the country. There is a possibility that if a strategically important investor comes forward, we will provide due consideration and provide them with lands under a special mechanism. However, we have given most of the lands under a bidding process. Therefore, we will not offer lands to anyone without a valid reason under any circumstances. There are some issues about the mechanism to implement the light rail transit project. That is why we are changing this. Tenders had been called for the light rail transit project under the previous government. Investors had submitted bids to construct a kilometer at a cost of fewer than $52 million. Under this project, it would cost more than $100 million to construct a kilometer. In addition to that, the land that they have chosen to construct the depot is marshy. The cost that would be incurred to fill concrete on that land can be used to extend the rail line up to Aturugiriya and construct a railway yard as well. that would allow us to extend the road within the cost. It is by considering these technical matters that we decided to refrain from going ahead with the project as planned to do this with an investor. I must comment on the statement referring to paying back the loans after 15 years. We will receive the loan to repay it after 15 years. If this is implemented as an ordinary project, we do not believe that we can repay the loan according to its value after 15 years if the project is implemented in this manner, as we will have to incur a huge cost. Someone has provided wrong information to the former minister. We express our regret over that. If we inquire into this properly, we can realize how the activities are taking place at the ministry. He said that there was an attempt to transform the Mithodamulla garbage dump into a park. We will not change that. However, specialists have commented on the park previously. We will construct it as planned. We have also made plans to provide the surrounding lands to local investors for housing projects. Through that, we hope to add more value to the money that is spent on the park and to carry out more projects. We have not made plans to give the park to any entity.
The remains of a mother, a father and a daughter of Sri Lankan origin who were victims of a triple homicide in the state of Qatar were brought to the Bandaranaike International Airport today.
Deputy General Manager of the Foreign Employment Bureau, Mangala Randeniya, said the 3 victims had been strangled to death. The victims have been identified as a 55-year-old mother, 59-year-old father and a 34-year-old daughter. The trio had been murdered in March. However, the suspect responsible for the murder has not been arrested yet. Mangala Randeniya said the closure of airports and suspension of international flights due to COVID-19 had hampered efforts to repatriate the bodies to the island. The remains have been placed at the mortuary of the Negombo District General Hospital for the post-mortem examination to be conducted. The deceased are residents of Kalaniya. The Deputy General Manager of the Foreign Employment Bureau said the Consular Division of Sri Lankan Embassy in Qatar commenced a probe into the incident.
A hotel owner was found attacked and murdered in the Kasbava area in Piliandala. According to the police, the body of the owner was discovered with injuries to the back of his head on a bed in the hotel at around 10 p.m. yesterday. Police added that the wife of the victim has also been admitted to the Kalubowila hospital with injuries. The deceased victim has been identified as a 50-year-old resident of Gurugammana Road in Kasbava. The remains have been taken to the Kalubowila Teaching Hospital for a post-mortem examination. An inspector attached to the Police Narcotics Bureau was arrested over a drug racket that had been operating at the Narcotics Bureau. Issuing a statement, police said that the suspect had been arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department under the Prevention of Terrorism Temporary Provisions Act. Meanwhile, a suspicious individual who had entered a place of worship in Pesalei Manor was produced before court today. The court ordered the suspect to be remanded until the 13th of this month. Further, the court had also ordered to submit a mental examination report of the suspect to court during the next hearing. The suspect had entered the place of worship with a bag on Sunday. Police had commenced investigations into the suspect after being notified by a woman.
A prisoner at the Valikada prison tested positive for COVID-19 today. Now, the manner in which the patient had contracted the virus is yet to be established.
The prisoner who tested positive for COVID-19 has been produced before the National Institute of Infectious Diseases. He is a 42-year-old who had been serving a sentence over a drug-related offence. The prisoner was at the Kandakadu Rehabilitation Centre while a group that had been directed for quarantine during that period had stayed in a dedicated area in the facility. He had been sent from Kandakadu to the Valikada prison on the 27th of June. PCR tests have been carried out on other inmates and prison officials following the detection of the COVID-19 patient.
We carried out PCR tests on 174 prisoners who were in his ward. We hope that the results of the tests would be received by tonight or tomorrow morning. We have taken steps to conduct PCR tests at the Kandakadu facility at which he had been staying. We will take measures to identify the place from which the patient had contracted the virus. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has issued directives to take all possible measures to prevent the spread of the virus among inmates, other individuals at the Kandakadu facility or those who had been transferred from the Kandakadu facility. We hope to do the needful in keeping with the directives.
Meanwhile, Director of the Epidemiology Unit at the Health Ministry, Dr. Paba Paliyavadana, said that steps have been taken to conduct PCR tests on the 450 individuals at the Kandakadu Rehabilitation Centre. The Prisons Department announced that visitors have been temporarily restricted from entering the Valikada prison. Meanwhile, a woman who arrived at the Valikada prison to visit an inmate behaved in an unruly manner today. Prison officials had said that visitors had been temporarily barred from visiting inmates due to the coronavirus pandemic.
ඉතින් මොනා කර අපි මම මේ ළමයි දෙන්නත් එක්ක කොහමද මං එට වැඩට යන්න ඕනේ.
ඒක මේ කොරෝනා ලෙඩේ කම්බලා ඉන්න ඔබතුමිය මෙහෙම ඉන්නේ හොඳයිද ඔය ළමයින්ට හොඳයි?
මැරලා ගියා දැන් ඔක්කොම මැරෙන්න ඕනේ මේ වගේ අපරාධකාර. ඉතප් පපුවන්නේ ඇත්තටම. දැන් දැනගත්තා මම තිරසන්නු ඉන්නේ මෙතන තිරසන්න.
This was how the woman behaved on the main road opposite the prison. The woman was then removed from the road with the intervention of some officials.
කොරෝනා ඇදිච්ච දවසේ ඉඳන්ම කතා කරන්න හම්බුන්නේ නැහැ. අන්තිමට කතා කරේ උසාවි දවසේ විතරයි. නඩුකාරයා මෙහා බඩේ ගුඩු පානක් කොයිද ආවෙලා ග්‍රෑම් පානක් ආවෙලා.
Officials allowed the woman to get in touch with the prisoner via a telephone call.
අපි මේ ඔයාලගේ අවස්ථාව සම්බන්ධ කරලා දුන්නේ.
බලන්න දෙන්න. මඩ බලන්න ඕනේ දෙයියෝ.
කතා කරන්න
වටන්න එපා මෙහෙම.
මම කතා කරනවා මහත්තයා දන්නවනේ කතාවේ.
මඩ බලන්න දෙන්නකෝ චුට්ටා. බැඳලා ළමයිත් එක්ක ඉන්නකොට තමයි මේ නඩුව ඕනේ. ඔව්. එයා තරුණ කාලේ කරා ඒ වැරද්දෙන් ආපහු කරේ නෑ. ඇල්ලුවවත් නෑ. බලන්න දෙන්නේ උදේ ඉඳන් හිටියා. දුකයි බැරිම දැන මෙතන කරදර කරා. මඩ බලන්න ඕනේ.
Following the phone call, the woman left for her residence.
Sri Lanka Association of Government Medical Laboratory Technologists, in a letter to the President, claims there are serious concerns surrounding the medical reports issued by the Ministry of Health. President of the association, Ravi Kumudesh, said, at a time when the Health Ministry laboratories used for PCR testing have not even reached their full capacity, it is unclear as to why PCR tests are being carried out by external laboratories. In the letter, the Sri Lanka Association of Government Medical Laboratory Technologists states, the report which claimed a person from Zinthupitiya in Colombo tested positive for COVID-19 was not released by a laboratory affiliated with the Ministry of Health. The association requests the President to conduct an inquiry and census on the laboratories affiliated with the Ministry of Health.
COVID-19 has claimed the lives of over 538,780 people worldwide, while over 11.64 million are battling the infection. Since it was first reported in China, the virus has spread to over 210 countries and territories in the last 6 months. Melbourne City, along with some other towns in Australia's Victoria state, have been ordered back into lockdown for 6 weeks, starting tomorrow after the state reported 191 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours, the highest spike spike in its daily infection count. The death toll stands at 22 in Victoria with 722 active cases. No new death was reported in the last 24 hours. The virus has claimed 106 lives with 8,755 confirmed cases in Australia so far. Meanwhile, the United States passed another grim coronavirus milestone as the death toll from the virus climbed past 130,000. The country has had 2,888,729 COVID-19 cases and 130,007 deaths as of midday in Washington, D.C. Hospitals are rapidly approaching capacity in Florida and Texas, and the Miami area has closed restaurants again because of the surge in coronavirus. India reported more than 23,000 new cases of coronavirus, overtaking Russia to become the country with the third highest number of coronavirus cases in the world. India's hardest hit state in Maharashtra is home to the country's financial hub of Mumbai. There, the virus has particularly hit densely populated cities such as New Delhi with 99,000 cases, Mumbai with 84,000 cases, and Chennai with 68,000 cases.
Meanwhile, Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro has tested positive for COVID-19. He took the test, his fourth, on Monday after developing symptoms including a high temperature. President Bolsonaro has repeatedly played down the risks posed by the virus, calling it a little flu and saying that he would not be seriously affected by it. With that, we go in for a short commercial break. We will be right back.
13th Amendment. We feel that if the 13th Amendment is implemented fully, our country will be divided. The President, Prime Minister and our camp will remain committed to safeguard the unitary nature of our country. It was the former government that obstructed the elections introduced by the 13th Amendment. Otherwise, they should have held the provincial council elections. So, are these the people who are speaking about it? We haven't woken up from the dead. The people remember this. Our government will be looking forward to bring a new constitution considering all sides. This is our ambition when we form a new government. Today, Gammanpila has convened a media briefing and has said that my father was against the provincial council system. That is a false statement. It was my father who brought in laws to establish the provincial council system in the country. Because the Supreme Court determined that this will not have an impact on the sovereignty of the country, my father presented the draft bill to establish the provincial council system and even voted for it. Gammanpila is trying to say that Sajith Premadasa's stance is detrimental to the country and that this will divide the country into 9 parts. In the journey towards safeguarding the unitary sovereign country, we must protect the provincial council system as well. I say this today, I said it yesterday, and will continue to be on the same stance in the future as well. But there are shortcomings in the provincial council system. I said that those shortcomings should be fixed. I did not speak about land ownership and police powers. There is a certain system in this country. I didn't ask anyone to change it. If you don't want terrorism to raise its head anymore in the country, the provincial council system should be strengthened and implemented. You know that it is the current leaders who have gone abroad and promised things beyond the provincial council system and said it was 13 plus. In Sri Lanka, they said it was 13 minus. I would like to remind Gammanpila that Sajith Premadasa says the same thing in the north, south, east and the west. I would like to remind Gammanpila that he entered parliament via the provincial council system. He was a provincial councillor.
Mahinda Rajapaksa අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමා ජනාධිපතිවරයා කාලේ
During Mahinda Rajapaksa's tenure as the president, he went to India and promised them not 13 but 13 plus. As far as I'm concerned, there is no difference between the current Mahinda Rajapaksa and the Mahinda Rajapaksa back then. If at all, he may have aged a bit. Uday Gammanpila and Vimal Weerawansa are shouting on stages, claiming the 13th Amendment will be made null and void. We would like to tell President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, if you intend to make the 13th Amendment null and void, please come forward and make your intentions clear, instead of sending your henchmen forward to do your work for you.
අක්‍රිය කරන්න වරමක් ඉල්ලනවායි කියලා.
The 13th Amendment to the Constitution has resurfaced, while a strong objection is voiced against handing over the East Container Terminal at the Colombo port to India. The Millennium Challenge Corporation is also being heavily discussed in the country at present. What is happening to the MCC and the East Container Terminal?
MCC කිව්වම දැන් මොකද තත්ත්වය දාස් නෑ කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයේ තීරණයක් ගනී ඒ පිළිබඳව. වරයි නැගෙනහිර ජැටිය ගැන
The President appointed a committee to look into the East Container Terminal. Since the committee is appointed, they will investigate and make a decision. There is no rush. After the 5th, a strong government will be formed. It's an election. We will expedite the process after the 5th, under a new government. We are not very happy with how it is being taken care of. We think there is no need to appoint a committee. This was brought down to create a military hub in Sri Lanka. An agreement similar to the MCC was brought up 220 years ago during King Sri Vikramarajah Singha's time. A governor called Nod presented something similar. It was to build a road from Colombo to Trincomalee. It was because they thought they needed Trincomalee to safeguard India. They wanted to protect India, and it is the same thing happening right now as well. They are trying to get Trincomalee to face an invasion. 6.8 million people did not appoint President Gotabaya Rajapaksa for this. He has been elected to save the country, so he does not have to consult the cabinet. We request him to reject this and issue a statement in this regard. Professor Gunaran himself said that we only have agreed to obtain the money. We have not received it yet. The professor himself said we can cancel the agreement if we want it. What is the government's stance? If the American ambassador can say that this will be signed after the election, why can't the president say anything? He can say that according to his expert committee, this cannot be signed and can ask them to shut down their office and leave. But he isn't.
Said the universal franchise brings nothing but harm to our country. After a proposal put forward was passed in Parliament in 1959, the right to vote at the age of 21 was reduced to the age of 18.
The British wanted to establish their Westminster system in Sri Lanka. The rebellion we staged in 1971 to topple the government made us realize that even in 1971, we were under the rule of the Queen. In 1972, we get our complete freedom from the British and we form our own constitution. However, the legislature, or else the National State Assembly we formed afterwards, was a legislature under the Westminster system. Was a legislature entirely under the Westminster system. The question remains, when did we truly receive independence? Was it in 1948 or 1972?
At that time, only 4% of the population in Sri Lanka had the right to vote. With universal franchise coming into play, a huge transformation was seen in the voting system. At present, there is a huge difference between the voter and the person they vote for. The situation today is that public representatives have forgotten about the people and they are working towards their own benefit and going towards an authoritarian rule.
In 1931, we get our universal franchise for the first time. Do we even need examples of not sending the right man to Parliament using our franchise? A renowned political figure once said that even monkeys can vote. The time is ripe to think about that statement.
Lest we forget.
The Court of Appeal today issued an interim injunction preventing the enforcement of the warrants issued by the 4th Magistrates Court for the arrest of former Minister Ravi Karunanayake and 6 others. The order was made after the Court of Appeal considered the petitions filed with the court seeking a writ order be issued preventing the enforcement of the warrants issued by the 4th Magistrates Court.
The 3-judge bench of the Court of Appeal issued the order preventing the enforcement of the warrant until the petitions are examined and concluded. The matter was called up in the presence of Court of Appeal President Justice A.H.M.B. Nawaz and Justices Shiran Gunaratne and Sobita Rajakaruna. The warrants were issued by the court on the 6th of March against 10 suspects, including former Minister Ravi Karunanayake, regarding a complaint filed under several charges, including the criminal misappropriation of 51.98 billion rupees in central bank bond auctions on the 29th and the 31st of March in 2016. Court of Appeal said today's order will not have any impact on the investigations which are ongoing concerning the central bank treasury bond scam, adding the suspects must appear at the Criminal Investigations Department and cooperate with the investigation whenever they are summoned to the CID.
Those who represent people are criticizing each other, mainly because of the internal issues within political parties.
The SLPP candidates in the Mathura district have expressed conflicting opinions towards each other. These conflicts were highlighted on the political stage today.
We did not have the power of the ruling party or the power of the opposition. We were called Mahinda Rajapaksa's gang of bandits. We were on a lone battle. We rebelled for 5 years. We can only campaign for the flower bud. But it is you who will decide to whom these 3 votes will be cast for. Starting from Dalasala Peruma to Mahinda Yapa, Niroshan Veerasumana and even us. If you don't think none of us are eligible, vote for the party, but don't use your preferential votes. I can be responsible for the Matara district. They are not real qualifications. Some say they were with Mahinda Rajapaksa since 2015. That is not a qualification either. If not, those people won't be in parliament. People who were not with Mahinda Rajapaksa have rectified their mistakes. We cannot do justice to the services Mahinda Rajapaksa rendered to the nation. But because of the behavior of some people who were with Mahinda Rajapaksa since 2010, people are not in good terms with Mahinda Rajapaksa. Many things happened in Gampaha. You can get votes by citing your qualification and what you did for the district of Matara, but it is not good to say not to vote for anyone else.
The SLFP contests in more districts under the flower bud. Conflicting points of view among the SLPP and the SLFP are gradually emerging in the political arena.
When other people left MR to obtain ministerial portfolios, it was Tondaman who stood beside him like a lion. We were attacked from all fronts. We won't be upset if the UN peers had attacked us. But we did not back down when they criticized us. We were with Mahinda Rajapaksa. We made him victorious. I ask you to choose Mahinda Rajapaksa's people very wisely and elect them to parliament.
The
UNP appointed Jayampati Vikramaratne, a doctor. What did the doctor do? He formed the 19th Amendment to the Constitution and ruined our country. A doctor came to the parliament and destabilized the entire country. You cannot send fools to the parliament. What did President Gotabaya Rajapaksa say? He asked to send horses to the parliament. But there were no horses. They had to make horses out of donkeys. I saw in some electorates handbills were given asking to cast your preferential votes to the same person. Do they think that the people are foolish? Now they are trying to get your vote forcefully by asking not to vote for other people. Prasanna Ranatunga, contesting from Gampaha, had made a statement. I challenge Prasanna Ranatunga to go to his father's grave and disgrace the SLFP. His father will come out of the grave and slap him. Still, there are SLFP supporters in this country. We will get to see that in the coming election. The rise of the SLFP is not far away. Several people contest from the Gampaha district. Dr. Nalaka Godaheva contests. He is an educated intellectual. Dr. Sudashini Fernandapulle is contesting. She is also an educated intellectual individual. Lasanta Alagewanna is a teacher. Sisira Jayakodi is a lawyer. He has a law degree. I don't understand why Prasanna Ranatunga is trying to clash with us. People of this country will join with intellectuals from the Viatmaga, but the person who has not even passed O-levels is making derogatory remarks against those erudite people. That is a problem he has within the district. We ask the people to vote for everyone who is connected to the SLFP. 26 people from the SLFP contest from 22 districts. They are contesting to govern alongside Gotabaya Rajapaksa, not to join hands with the United National Party.
The disagreements between the UNP and the Samagi Jana Balawega have made its way onto the political stage.
I will reiterate this point. The central bank was not under me. Neither were commercial banks. Certain people fabricated an issue out of this. Why are those people silent now? All 6 people who make up the footnote gang are on the other side. Why are they silent now after creating all this chaos? Why are they not mentioning the fact that this was included in a forensic audit conducted 11 years ago? Have they struck a deal? Those who left the ancestral home of Sirikota are attempting to gain more votes by creating issues. God will provide them with an answer at the right time.
He says the central bank thieves are in our camp. Who is Ravi Karunaika? He has forgotten that he used to live in a house in Kolpiti with a monthly rent of 1.5 million rupees. He has forgotten the rent was paid by Arjun Aloysius. A no-confidence motion was brought against Ravi Karunaika. As soon as it was brought, the MPs representing our government said they will vote against him. Then the Prime Minister and the then President asked him to step down. Ravi Karunaika lost his ministerial portfolio because of the bond scam. The portfolio of Minister of Finance is an extremely important position. Losing his position was his own doing. Today he's shamelessly speaking of the bond scam. Do not throw stones from glass houses. We know details of how your UNP government protected the Rajapaksas for 4.5 years, so do not force our hand. You destroyed the UNP, stranded the people of Colombo and forced us back into the opposition after 4.5 years. It is because of your blunder that we are no more the ruling faction. Those including Vajra Abewardhana are cardboard UNPers. We are thoroughbred UNPers. What are they saying now? They say that they are not in a hurry to come into power. Recently, they had said that if the people cannot vote for them, vote for the flower bud instead. Vajra Abewardhana, Ranil Wickremesinghe and their clan are saying that nowadays. They later made a statement claiming they will join the Rajapaksas to obtain a 2/3 majority. Now that dream cannot be fulfilled either. So now they are saying they are in no hurry to establish a government. Ranil Wickremesinghe is on Mahinda Rajapaksa's lap. They have already made several decisions. The Rajapaksas cannot obtain a 2/3 majority. That is a dream. They are not even talking about it. Now all they want is to somehow establish a government. Candidate of the United National Party, Palitha Thevarapperuma, hinted about a plan to not contest at the upcoming general election. It has been 5 years since my son died. If neither my son nor my wife is contesting, my wife has seen my son's cutout being torn down. She had chased them and fallen. They have also video recorded the entire situation. I can't take this pressure. The main cause is the election. I will meet the commissioner and upon his advice, I will decide how not to contest and live peacefully.
Senior DIG in charge of the Western Province, Deshabandhu Tennakone, said the main perpetrator is among the suspects. Investigations reveal the suspects are residents of Colombo and surrounding areas. A video recorded by the victim went viral on social media on Sunday night, and on Monday she described her ordeal to the media.
Yes, so we were just hanging around with my friends and walking down and past group of people, a group of boys, quite young, and they start talk something to us. Unfortunately, I don't speak Sinhala. I couldn't understand exactly what they told, but of course I realized that they speak something about me because I've seen my friend's reaction and reaction of those guys. So we were trying to just pass it, leave them, but they were still coming out and hanging out, start this attack. And finally, when we tried to calm them down, it didn't work. So, and they start actually hit him because he was protecting me. So I put out my camera. It was only one thing in my mind what I can do, and luckily it helped.
We were at Golface Green. A group of youth under the influence of alcohol started to threaten us. They used profane words to scold me. That's when this happened. The police arrested 5 suspects within 8 hours. We thank the police.
In more local news, a campaign rally of former President Maithripala Sirisena was held in Patunugama, Pulastigama in Polonnaruwa today.
Regardless of whether I was in the opposition or the ruling faction, I did not merely stay still. I identified the issues faced by those in Polonnaruwa. I associated many intellectuals. I studied political science at the Maxim Gorky Academy in Russia. I studied socialism and capitalism. That is how my political life was formed. After Chandrika Kumaratunga's government came into power in 1994, I went into the jungle, which is now known as the Moragakanda Kalu River Reservoir, and spoke to engineers. I found out that those plans had been drawn up in the 70s by Sena Nayaka. They were unable to implement it. Gamini Disanayaka could not either. One engineer had the plan with him. They were also doing this for about 10 to 15 years. I finished the Moragakanda project in 5 to 7 years. That is how I provided water to all the tanks in Polonnaruwa and Kantale.
A finance ministry report has shown that Sri Lanka's total revenue for the first quarter of 2020 has dropped by more than 20% when compared to last year. According to a report published by the finance. We leave it tonight with another version of the Negative Sri Lanka theme song performed by the students of Marapola Mahavidyalaya. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Mazra San with our sign language interpreter Karaka Gabriel. Take care and good night.
Hitimu, Sri Lanka.
TV1 News First, main sponsor.